Good morning. We are going to go ahead and get started with our ceremony. Please rise for the Class of 2017 processional.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated.
Good morning. Welcome to today's celebration for the Stokes Early College Class of 2017. I'm Misty Holloway. I'm the principal of Stokes Early College, and we are so excited that you are here with us. We'd like to welcome our faculty, our Stokes County administrative team, including Assistant Superintendent Tony George, Forsyth Tech faculty and administrators, and members of our Stokes County School Board. I extend a sincere welcome to parents, grandparents, extended families, and friends of our graduates. All of you have played an important role in making this day happen. I would like to recognize our Stokes Early College teachers and staff for a brief moment. It is Teacher Appreciation Week, and our teachers and staff do an amazing job every day with your students. So if we could please give them a round of applause. Most importantly, I'd like to welcome the class of 2017. Our graduates have voted on a class motto, which is located inside your program. The motto reads, "To be old and wise, we must first be young and stupid. We must make mistakes along the way." This class is a very funny class. They have a great sense of humor. This is a fitting motto for the class of 2017 because you are humble, hardworking, and you're willing to admit that your journey at Stokes Early College hasn't always been an easy one. We have several graduates who have experienced the loss of a parent during their time, or other loved ones during their time at Stokes Early College. For 3 of our students, this loss has happened this school year. Many of our Falcons have the added responsibility of being breadwinners for their families. So they're working 40 hours a week to help put food on the table and pay bills, and they're trying to earn their high school diploma and a college degree. This is an amazing group of kids. Whether you've persevered through personal struggles, extended illness, or academic challenges, class of 2017, you have not lacked for courage or strength. Your accomplishments are impressive. You have earned almost $3.7 million in scholarship offers. Give them a round of applause. That's awesome. Several of our students have earned full academic scholarships. Others have received enough money to pay for both a bachelor's and a master's degree. Just think, if you have found a way to pay for college without any debt at 18, what can you accomplish at 25 or 30 or even 50? You are carving your own path, class of 2017. The majority of our graduates will be furthering their education either at a four-year university or at Forsyth Tech or another community college. Some of you will be entering the workforce. You have defined for yourself the future that you desire. Some of you have aspirations to enter the medical field. Some of you want to become teachers. Some of you plan to own and operate your own business. Some of you are not sure what career field you want to enter just yet, and that's okay. As your class motto indicates, mistakes along the way to creating your chosen path may happen, but that only helps you appreciate the journey and reflect on your choices. Class of 2017, each one of you was created with special gifts and natural talents. Use them to make a positive mark on this world. You have so many people here who are rooting for you and cheering you on, including your Falcon family. You can always come back and see us. We would love to see you. Your teachers and I have enjoyed being a part of your journey to today. It has been an absolute privilege being your principal. I have enjoyed watching you mature into the young people that you are today. It's the best job I've ever had. We are so proud of you. Always remember, once a Falcon, always a Falcon. Congratulations. At this time, I'm going to welcome Assistant Superintendent Tony George to the podium.
You know, I always shake things up a little bit, so if you would and would like to, please stand and let's have a moment of silence. Thank you. And I'm going to go a step further with Ms. Holloway and the faculty. Faculty, I wish you'd please stand, and Ms. Holloway, please stand and be recognized. They do a wonderful job, and we're real proud of them. Thank you. You know, I love going to the Stokes Early College High School because when I walk in the door, I always feel a lot smarter because I'm surrounded with a lot of smart kids. And it's amazing the scholarship money this small group does get for Stokes County Schools. It makes myself and Dr. Rice, who could not be with us today, proud. I'm proud to be your assistant superintendent. I'm proud to say that I'm part of the Stokes County family. I was thinking about what to say, and I never write anything down because I can't read it when I write it because I can't hardly see it. So I thought about 4 words that I wanted to share with you. One is live, one is love, and one is laugh, and one is pray. And I'm going to ask you, those 4 things I try to do every day. Sometimes I leave, some I'm out, but I try. And the reason I say live is you live every day like it might be your last day. And the reason I say love, because without love, we don't have anything. So find somebody to tell them you love them. Laugh. Always find a time during the day to laugh and enjoy yourself and be yourself and pray. Always thank God for everything you get and everything you achieve and everything you receive. And the last thing I want to leave with you is 3 things that my daddy always told me. And he didn't graduate from high school. My mother and father, neither one were high school graduates. But we had a lot of love in our house. and they made sure I got what I needed. They fed me, they clothed me, and they made sure I went to school, got me to school, went to college, first graduate of college in my family, and they were just special people. And I'm sure you have those people in your life. But my dad always said three things. If it ain't yours, don't take it. If it ain't so, don't say it. And if it ain't right, don't do it. Peace out.
Good morning. I'm Gary Green. I'm president at Forsyth Technical Community College, and on behalf of our faculty, our staff, our board, and especially to our graduates, your fellow students at Forsyth Tech, I want to congratulate our graduates, and I want to thank all of the many members of their families and their friends and the community that are here to support them. I appreciate the partnership that Forsyth Tech has had for a number of years now with the Stokes County Schools to create the kind of opportunity that this early college and that these graduates today represent for your community. You know, I sit here today and I look out and I see a few umbrellas, but it's a beautiful day in Stokes County. Right, graduates? This is a fantastic day for these young people who are moving on to the next phase of learning. Sorry, folks, it's not over yet. These young people will continue to learn. They will continue to grow. I like your motto, by the way. You got to start somewhere. But this is the beginning of lives that will change this community, will change this county, will change this region, will provide the opportunities for the future, for them and for their families for the future. So I want to thank, and graduates, if you would join me in thanking the many guests, your members of your family that are here and supported you. Let's thank all of these folks that are here. And then, ladies and gentlemen, again, we're pleased to be here to salute and to celebrate with these young people, with the future of Stokes County, North Carolina. Thank you so much for all of you being here.
Good morning, all. My name is Elizabeth Sykes,
And I'm Wendy Smith.
and we are part of the class of 2017. Today, we have the immense pleasure of introducing our commencement speaker, Mr. Mike Shaw. I'm sure I can speak for the entire senior class when I say that when we found out Mr. Shaw was our commencement speaker, we were completely overjoyed. We have all sat in his classroom at some point, whether it be homeroom, physical science, or chemistry. We have all had the complete joy and pleasure of sitting on the edge of our seats, waiting for the punchline of one of his jocular stories of which really could only happen to him. He gave us his best every single day, and even if science wasn't your favorite subject, Mr. Shaw always found new ways to bring out your interest in his classroom, with so many puns and clever alliterations for experiments and demonstrations. I'm sure none of us will be able to forget the revealing Rutherford's Rebound experiment, where in trying to teach us how Ernest Rutherford discovered the nucleus, he agreed to hold the target in the front of the classroom as we stood up and threw ping pong balls at it, with 3 of us actually hitting the target. Seeing the terror in his face as 30 ping pong balls were being pelted at him all at once is one of the many examples of the fun times and laughter we had in his classroom. This is a man that has taken the education world by storm. He possesses 4 degrees, an associate's in arts and science degree in computer programming from Forsyth Tech, a master's in biology from Wake Forest University, and a 6th-year degree in science education from UNCG. In his 36 years of teaching at Stokes County School Systems, he has made some amazing and well-deserved accomplishments, some of which are that he is the 6th-time recipient of the Stokes County Teacher of the Year Award and the 12th-time recipient of the Who's Who Among America's Teachers Award. He has been also recognized on the national level for his excellence and ingenuity in science and education. Well, he is obviously an accomplished and highly awarded teacher, but more than that, he is an inspiration to all in his classroom. His impact on our little community has touched us all in a very personal way. Watching his passion come to life as he did many experiments and demonstrations, waiting for us all to be as amazed with science as he was, is something I always looked up to in awe. And I can say for myself and for everybody sitting here today that is about to graduate, it was such a pleasure to have you as a teacher and to be in your classroom every day. Thank you.
I need a stool, y'all. Alright. So, I can stand here and speak for this entire senior class as a whole, and anyone who has had him, in saying that we appreciate greatly everything and all of his hard work and dedication to ensuring success for all of his students in the classroom. Mr. Shaw, it is very inspiring how much you care about your students and how they understand the material. You are always available to help us become better, and for all of us, this helped us ace your course. Coming to early college, I wasn't fully sure what I wanted to become, and I was searching for some type of inspiration to spark. Mr. Shaw always told me that I could do anything and be anything that I aspired to be, and this created the motivation in me to learn and made me want to dedicate my life as he has to motivating and inspiring the students of the future. I graciously appreciate the chance I've had to learn by such an amazing teacher and aspire to be just as great as a teacher as Mr. Shaw. And with all of that, it is my pleasure to introduce to you your 2017 Commencement Speaker, Mr. Mike Shaw.
All right. Thank you, Elizabeth and Wendy. Wasn't quite prepared for that, but I certainly do appreciate that. And I will go off script here for just a moment and say, I could have searched for 1,000,000 years and never found a better school system to work in than Stokes County. The students, the parents, the business women and men, fellow teachers, administrators, everyone I ever encountered during 36 years was nothing less than positive and contributed to anything that I needed along the way to try to teach science. And so I just want to say thank you to this entire community. And good morning. Hello to everybody, and here goes my script. And so, anyway, I'm sort of like Tony George. I was born about 3/4 of a mile from him, and we're just two country boys, and somehow we ended up here. But I do have a couple of things to say today, and here we go. I suppose it's only natural for us to live our lives with a narrow perspective focused on only a few certain points along the way. This sometimes gets us where we're aiming successfully, but it inevitably prevents us from seeing the broader, fuller picture of our purpose and experience. I have two messages to send out this morning. The first one, ironically enough, is a short story about lifelong learning, while the second one is about taking negative situations. Heard that kind of feedback, and since I'm dead now. Can you hear me now? Yeah. Hadn't heard that kind of feedback since Jimi Hendrix in '69. The second story deals with turning negative situations into positive outcomes while using genuine curiosity as your guide. Both messages illustrate a part of our lives for which we can develop gratitude with just a little practice. Rarely do we cherish what comes along in our lives in the form of difficulty and struggle. Yet time and time again, our hindsight shows us the value and usefulness of the very parts of life that we sometimes try so hard to avoid. First story begins with the fact that my sister, who's taught for 42 years, and I were unbelievably fortunate to have wonderful parents. We also had great, wonderful grandparents. We were blessed with them. And in particular, my father's mother, my grandmother, Alice, lived to the age of 106 and a half years old. That's right, 106 and a half years old. She had longevity in her genes, even though she never wore a pair. Now, my grandmother was big on education. I know that for a fact because she went through the 8th grade 3 times. But before you begin to think of her as a study in density, she was, however, quite the polar opposite of that. Because, you see, she attended one of those one-room schoolhouses in the early 1900s that only went as far as the 8th grade. And at the end of her 8th grade year, she went to her teacher and said, "I see books on English and history, math and science I never had an opportunity to read or study, and I was wondering if there was any way possible that I could come back next year and you might be able to help me out with those." And the teacher, bless her heart, said yes. And then at the end of her second 8th grade year, she again approached the teacher and said, "I've tried, but I still haven't made it through all these books. Is there any way you could help me one more time?" And the teacher, bless her heart, part 2, said yes. And so, during the years that my sister and I were growing up, my parents would take us to our grandparents' house to visit. Inevitably, at some point in the afternoon or evening, my grandmother would pull my sister and me over to the side and ask us to recite some of the things we had learned in the earlier part of the week. And after the recitations had ended, without fail, my grandmother would look at us and say, "Always learn as much as you can for as long as you can, because that's something no one can ever take away from you." Well, then years later, I was a teacher here and had been for about 5 years when a buzzword or a catchphrase swept across the nation. And when it blew through the doors of Stokes County schools, it turned out to be lifelong learner. When we attended workshops, the instructors would say, "Be a lifelong learner. Encourage your students to be lifelong learners." And the first time I heard that phrase, I thought instantly of my grandmother, and I loved her even more because I knew that was exactly what she was trying to impress so heavily upon my sister and me during our formative years. And so when I consider how my grandmother was given less opportunity with only the chance to rise to the 8th grade 3 times, I see now, looking back on the years, the amazing ways that she multiplied through her gratitude the little she was given. She saw a limit to what she could gain, but she found a way to compound the benefits by passing on her lessons to us. So here is my first message to you soon-to-be graduates. It is simply this: always listen to your grandmother. Grandmothers are rarely wrong, and in this case, always learn as much as you can for as long as you can, because it's true. That is something no one can ever take away from you. My second message deals with turning negative situations into positive outcomes through the use of genuine curiosity as your guide. The road to curiosity often leads to creativity, but is sometimes loaded with dangerous detours, and that is the basis of my next story. At the age of 1 1/2 years old, I found myself on the linoleum kitchen floor, crawling about on all fours in my usual Neanderthal crouch in search of an object of interest. Suddenly, my attention was diverted to the open kitchen door, which led off to an enclosed glass porch. There, I watched corpuscular rays of sunlight angle down, strike a foreign object, and then reflect off the glass. Compelled by curiosity, I changed gears and accelerated toward that object. When I arrived there, I determined it to be a stainless steel pan. I had reached a point in my life where hearing and seeing and smelling and touching were all forming strong positive connections with one another, while it also became readily apparent that reasoning and common sense would be bringing up the rear. And so, as I looked down into the pan, I noticed that it contained a liquid. And as Gertrude Stein once wrote, "A rose is a rose is a rose. and I must have similarly believed that a liquid is a liquid is a liquid, and so I drank it. And now the reason the pan was there in the first place was because my mother had placed it there and loaded it with Clorox bleach and water in order to do a pre-soak before the wash. She had then erroneously believed that she could step into the next room, gather the garments, and be back before I was any the wiser. She did, however, turn the corner just in time to see me gulping from the contaminated cocktail. My father, on this fine Saturday morning, who prided himself on the depth of his self-composure, now fairly flung himself into the kitchen to find out what was the matter. After a quick examination, we took a frenetic and freewheeling ride to the hospital, where I received a not-so-free stomach pumping. I had taken my first step, or crawl rather, in a direction destined by the pull of curiosity. My parents soon came to realize that keeping me alive would require them to channel my often risky curiosity through a love of science. Hindsight, once again, has shown me that all aspects of our lives, even those we are afraid of, have the ability to be used for good and the betterment of ourselves and others. Thus, undeterred by the chemical quenching, my next realm of research investigated the physical phenomena of physics. I was raised in a house in Surrey County surrounded by 27 acres of land. We had a cat, a dog, and 3 horses. And in an attempt to keep the horses reined in, so to speak, my father employed the use of an electric fence. And we all know that an electric fence requires regular maintenance. And so my father chose each and every Saturday morning to walk the fence line in order to inspect it for correct working order. When I reached the age of 5 years old, my father invited me to walk with him on these weekly inspections. I was thrilled at his invitation, as I had only to leap out of bed and get dressed in order to walk with him and peruse the pastures. And all of this would have made for a fine, hunky-dory father-son excursion had it not been for the fact that I developed an extremely unhealthy habit from day one. On the first Saturday morning of my adventure to be, I awoke to a tapping, a gentle rap, rap, rapping on my bedroom chamber door. 2 seconds later, my feet hit the floor. And as it was a beautiful June morning, I dressed in t-shirt, shorts, socks, and rubber-soled tennis shoes. And then I ran like a young Tasmanian devil through the house until I reached my father, who waited for me in the front yard. From there, we walked to the first field. Moments later, I saw it. There it was, the silver, electrified fence, flexing its tautness under the warmness of the early morning sun. I had no notion of electricity, and so I broke free from my father and ran toward the wire. With glee, innocent oblivion, and unbridled enthusiasm, and an outstretched hand. And when I reached that wire, I grabbed it. And when I grabbed the wire, I turned and looked back at my father and smiled. And when I smiled, my smile emanated and radiated the energy of 1,000 suns. But when my father reached me, he rapidly removed my hand from the wire, all the while shaking his head from side to side in that horizontal, sideways, silent language known as no. I am absolutely sure that at that point, my father employed every parcel of his extensive electrical expertise, persuasive powers, psychology, and authoritative discipline in an attempt to explain to me the repercussions of driving a wire that actually is carrying an electric current. I am also absolutely sure that in response, I stood and stared back at him as blankly as a donkey who has just been asked to explain in detail Einstein's special theory of relativity. Now, it seemed to me the total experience consisted of walking with my father to the field, breaking free from my father, running unfettered through the field, grabbing the wire, smiling at my father, and then listening to some disorienting speech. Apparently, that was something I could live with because that same pattern repeated itself for 2 more Saturday mornings before my day of reckoning arrived. It turns out that part of the pasture ran through the woods and that dead, fallen tree limbs had leaned against the wire, effectively shorting or grounding it out. On the morning of my initiation to electricity, however, the grass was wet, the trees had held tightly to their limbs, and the electrical pump was primed. On this particular morning, I don't know why, but I lingered long in bed after my father's knock. Suddenly, I wished to go, and in an attempt to make up or compensate for lost time, I leapt from the bed, but dressed only in t-shirts and shorts, leaving the socks and rubber-soled tennis shoes in absentia. I then ran through the house, flew through the field until I finally found my father. At first, I ran directly at him, but at the last second, I veered away from him as if I was being chased by a swarm of rabid bees. To this day, I have no idea why I was so obsessed with that wire. Even as an innocent child and never having the benefit of hearing the phrase carpe diem, meaning seize the day, I was already a true believer in the concept itself, and now had merely to reconstitute the phrase to become carpe electricus, meaning seize the wire. And that is exactly what I did. In the 1960s, there was a singer-songwriter by the name of Sonny Curtis who wrote a chart-topping #1 hit entitled, "I Fought the Law and the Law Won." I now change these words to become, "I fought the wire and the wire won." Because had I been thinking coherently that morning, I would have put on the socks and rubber-soled tennis shoes. And in addition, I would have pulled on some rubber underwear in anticipation of the event about to unfold. Because when I grabbed that wire, it instantaneously dispensed to me an electropercussive shockwave. And then I began to do an electric boogaloo. I looked down at my hand. It appeared to inflate, deflate, oscillate, vacillate. My skin began to exfoliate. I felt the need to pontificate. And then the screams began. One can never imagine the vibrancy, elasticity, and capacity of a 5-year-old's lungs. It is almost inconceivable until you hear them being utilized in a maximized manner. Even the famed howler monkey cannot begin to compare with the volume of a currently being electrocuted child. From that experience, I have learned 3 scientific lessons that I carry with me to this very day. Number 1, the human body is loaded with various salts, and as such becomes a great conduit for electrical current. Number 2, when a human decides to walk into a field of wet grass barefoot and grab an electrical source, the impure water serves to decrease the body's resistance, thereby allowing an increased amount of current flow available to the food. 3, articles of clothing such as socks, rubber-soled tennis shoes, and even rubber underwear act in the opposite fashion, increasing the body's resistance, thereby decreasing the electrical current. But alas, when said fool forgets to wear said tennis shoes or rubber underwear, the electrical current is even more pronounced. More than mere stories, these experiences led me to ultimately teach these very concepts in a controlled and, for the most part, safer environment. The channeling of experiences for the purpose of good is an art form that makes the game of life very much worth playing. The point of these stories is that in spite of the negative experiences, they all created a continued curiosity that remained with me until college, where I enrolled in chemistry and physics courses, eventually teaching both of these for the majority of my career and loving every moment of it. I share these seemingly small moments of my life with you today to acknowledge that you've already had your moments, which you can look back at to see a significance you did not realize at the time. Hopefully soon you can begin to see value in some of the struggles that you've had. No doubt you will face many more before your journey's end. While in the midst of conflicts to come, you might remind yourself that there's a bigger meaning and value to you now for each hardship you face. You might choose to the best of your ability to hold out hope and look forward to that discovery that only comes with distance after the dust settles once more. While I purposefully made light of these experiences, we all know that unfortunately, not all things in life can we afford to take lightly, for we live in troubled and turbulent times. We are living in a time where people often choose greed over giving, indifference over involvement, ignorance over enlightenment, and even hate over love. And so I would like to issue a challenge to you soon-to-be graduates. I would like for you to consider the following as you go through your lives. Please choose giving over greed, involvement over indifference, enlightenment over ignorance, and love over hate. We cannot always do this alone, but with the right people to help us, along with the right influences and timing, we can discover silver linings and continue to sail our vessels in directions that aim toward goodness. I might consider these to be monumental things to ask of someone so young if you sitting here before me were not the quality individuals I believe you to be. Ladies and gentlemen, I know all these students. I've taught all of them one time and most of them 2 times. I have seen what they're capable of in the classroom. I have seen their positive effect on the school, the community, the county, the state, some of them on the nation, and a few more in the international community. These are some of the finest young ladies and young men I have ever met in my life. And now, soon to be graduates, here are my final thoughts and words to you. I appreciate you. I admire you. I applaud all of your hard work and congratulate you on how far you have already become in your young lives. I respect you. I believe in you. And most of all, I love you. Go with the grace of God and do great things in your life. Thank you for the privilege of allowing me to speak here today.
Thank you, Mr. Shaw. We have 2 more speakers. The first speaker has the 2nd highest grade point average. Cassie Faircloth is the daughter of Jeffrey Todd and Suzanne Faircloth, and she currently resides in Walnut Cove. Cassie will be attending Meredith College and will pursue a double major in criminology and business administration with a minor in English. Cassie desires to one day attend law school, and she has a very specific goal. She would like to attain the position of District Attorney of Manhattan. She would also like to live in New York one day. I think her mother's going to have to move with her. Cassie is a determined young lady with a larger-than-life personality, and we love our sassy Cassie. We are so proud of her. Miss Cassie Faircloth.
Well, there's no way I can top that, but I will try. The following speech, in which you are about to hear, is a product of 14 years in Stokes County's public education system. Picture this. Typical salutatorian speech. A cliche quote such as, "Today is your day, you're off to great places, you're off and away." Add in a sappy story about my life and include a deep philosophical piece of advice. Well, I may not include a sappy story, but I will do my best to give the class of 2017 the most clichéist advice possible. 14 years. That's a long time. We've grown from children who could not write to young adults who still do not know the difference between affect and effect. Specifically, the past 4 years, we have matured from the fresh meat to the wonderful seniors with just a hint of senioritis. You know who you are. Let's be honest, if it had not been for Miss Giles' sassy emails, none of us would be here today. Anyway, these past 4 years. How does one describe 4 years at early college? Imagine this. You're riding a bike down a one-way street, but you are going the opposite direction of the street, trying to juggle 3 pins while escaping from an angry bear, only to find the way out is through a large ring of fire. But at the end, there is a huge buffet with all-you-can-eat chicken nuggets and cupcakes. That's early college. Stressful, but worth it. I mean, raise your hand if you have ever personally felt victimized by Blackboard. I know I have. All those teachers who said we could not complete this assignment in one night, and look how we showed them. In all seriousness, there were some perks to early college. That one time we lost power and got to go home early, that was a great day. I am only kidding. The unique people, the creative teachers and faculty, the adventurous field trips planned, the interesting friendships made, and the wealth of knowledge early college has supplied us with is incredible. Early college really offers a wide variety of experiences and opportunities for those who are willing to take advantage of them. Enough with this, let's move on to thank yous. First and foremost, I must thank my incredible mother, because words cannot express how grateful I am for her and all the support she has shown me. All the countless times I wanted to give up, she always reminded me that Abraham Lincoln lost 8 different elections before becoming president. You have all seen her in the hallways as a substitute, and I do not think our experience would have been the same without her. Next, I'd like to say thank you to my father, Nana, sister, along with my mother, and other family friends for being the foundation that I needed to be the young lady I am standing here today. Also, I want to thank God, because whenever I was stressed or did not believe in myself, He was and is always there for me. I always repeated this verse from Philippians 4:13. I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. This verse saved me in dark times and lifted me higher during the great times. I give all my glory to Him because I know I could not have done it without Him. Now, I have to thank all the wonderful teachers of early college. Mr. Price and Mr. Shaw, there was not a day that went by in your class that I did not learn something or laughed until I cried. To Mr. Cass Stevens, Mr. Smith, and Mr. Robbins, even though you never taught me how to do my taxes, and that's okay because Miss Hallett did, I will always know a variety of methods to use the Pythagorean theorem for. Miss Hallett and Mr. Mingus, there was certainly never a dull moment in your classroom, and thank you for always being there for me and the other students. To Mr. Brown and Miss Burrow, thank you for teaching us that a little obsessive-compulsive disorder never hurt anyone. To Dr. Drawn, there was never a dull moment, and I loved every moment in your class. To Miss Smith and Mr. Johnson, although I never had you, I know that you are doing great things to impact the lives of our students as well as our teachers. Furthermore, the 4 power ladies in the office, Miss Holloway, Dr. Cox Franklin, Miss Smith, and Mrs. Moyer. You ladies, keep us seniors and underclassmen on our toes. You are the heart of our school, and we could not function without you. Finally, I have saved the best for last, Miss Giles. Yes, words cannot express this incredible teacher and human being. She is passionate about teaching and pushing students to their all-time best. She is not just a teacher. She sponsors a variety of clubs and helped to corral all of the seniors as our spectacular senior advisor. Not to mention, she threw a poppin' prom last week. Yes, she has changed our lives for the best, and I am so proud call her not only Teacher of the Year, but one of my best friends. Now, the moment you have all been waiting for. No, not your diplomas. My clichéist advice possible. First of all, everything happens for a reason, and the mind can achieve what the mind can believe. Be yourself, because everyone else is taken. And as Nike says, just do it. It is not about the destination, it is about the journey. Suck it up, buttercup, because life is hard and the perks make it worth it. From the groovy words of Michael Jackson, if you want to make the world a better place, take a look at yourself and make that change. And what does Dory always say? Just keep swimming, just keep swimming. Adventure is out there, so go and explore, but never look back on the past, darlings, because it distracts from the now. When you are ever feeling down, just remember Hakuna Matata. It means no worries for the rest of your days. Have you had enough yet? Well, I hope you heard something in that inspires you and motivates you, class of 2017, to move forward. Class of 2017, life will throw you down, but you must get back up and try again. I know that deep down, you are all capable of great things. And I hope in 20 years, we can come back together and truly see how strong we all have become. The past 4 years have been the most amazing and stressful times of our lives. We have laughed, we have cried, we have lost some, and we have gained some. But it does not matter where we go, because once a falcon, always a falcon. Thank you.
Thank you, Cassie. Our last speaker has the highest grade point average. Loren Ogden is the daughter of Regina Ogden and Helen Harrell, and she currently resides in King. Loren will be attending Appalachian State University and will pursue a major in clinical pathology with a minor in pharmaceuticals. Loren also has a very specific goal. She desires to one day work for the Center for Disease Control and potentially establish her own medical equipment company. Loren is an intelligent young lady whose creativity knows no bounds. Miss Loren Ogden.
So, my speech isn't as long as everyone else's, but it'll be short, sweet, and I hope it'll touch you as much as the other speeches have. First, I want to say thank you to my fellow seniors for being with me for all of these school years. It's been hectic, but interesting seeing everyone change, and it's painful seeing everyone leave. But as sure as our graduation is, so too is our future. I also want to thank our teachers, staff, janitors, bus drivers, and all others for making certain that we could learn and grow here, for guiding us along, for tolerating us at our worst, and boosting us to our best. We'll miss you as much as you will miss us, and you have given us a gift that cannot be bought, nor placed, nor approximated, the gift of knowledge, of curiosity, and more. These gifts cannot be taught like a formula, nor gleaned from text in an English class, but can only be instilled. For that, we are all grateful. Our yearbook was centered around change, how we changed as people, events that have changed us and made memories, and so on. So too is my speech, but not about how we are changed, but rather how we can enact change. There's a quote featured prominently within Judaism and Islam that highlights our impact on the world, no matter how small. Whosoever saves a life, it is considered that they have saved the whole world. This quote highlights that saving one person out of a sea of billions can have a profound impact. You may not have made a difference to anyone else, but you made a profound difference to the person you saved. Oftentimes, it feels as if small differences mean nothing in a world of perpetual tumult. Why bother trying to help when you can't help everyone? Why bother trying to help when, in the theater of the world, it won't make a difference? But we must remember that making a difference in some people's lives is better than never making a difference. Helping a few people is better than helping none. To those people, you have made a profound difference. We focus so much on trying to make waves that we forget that, at a small enough scale, a ripple is a tsunami. We forget that sometimes we forget that something doesn't have to change the world to be important. As Ms. Giles in her starfish story highlighted, we can't help everyone, but those we do help, we have made a tremendous impact on. And oftentimes, we forget how profoundly we can impact others with the smallest things we say and do. I remember insults from when I was 5, but I also remember compliments uttered years ago. I keep letters and cards from years ago, drawings my friends gave me, photos, and everything else. I'm sure many of you keep gifts from your friends dear to heart as well, but we keep their words as well. Sometimes the words matter more. They're an expression of self, of who you are, of what you stand for. Don't doubt your importance in the world, for your actions and words have helped someone, whether you know it or not. Don't doubt how easily you can make a difference. Lastly, I want to leave you all with a quote of mine. It's only 4 words, yet it's made a world of difference for me, and I hope it will make one for you. It's simply this: and yet, life persists. No matter how awful life may get, no matter how many curveballs life throws at you, no matter how many horrible and how horribly life treats you, life goes on, and so will you, and you'll make it through it all. Don't let life drag you down, and make sure the impact you leave on others or the world is a positive one. And thank you all for a wonderful 4 years at Stokes Early College.
Seniors, please rise. Ariana, Tabitha, Andrea, Bullard. Kimberly Ann Burford. Bridget Christine Camp. Destiny Lynn Cowick. Matthew Douglas Clayton. Seth Nelson Edwards. Laura Roxanne Elliott. Cassandra Danielle Fairclough. Donald Monroe Goins, in absentia. Autumn Brooke Hall. Gabrielle Kennedy Harris. William McCormick Hasty II. Sandy Denise Holdaway. Adriana Lee Holder. Seth Kyle King. Anna Marie Kirkman. Juan Chavez Landaverde. Kayla Marie Lane. Benjamin Lucas Lawless. Austin Curtis Love, in absentia. Destiny Sierra Lynch. Melinda Mary McCorkle. Amanda Lorraine McManus. Derek Anthony Mitchell. Loren Michaela Ogden. Chelsea Elizabeth Shelton. Taylor Jackson Shelton. Andrew Solorio. Wendy Renee Smith. Elizabeth Ashley Sykes. James Robert Tilley II. Katie Ann Tilley. Brittany Ann Tuttle. Emily Sanford Usselton, in absentia. Hunter Grant Winfrey. Angel Michelle Yates.
Okay, graduates, it is the moment we've all been waiting for. By the power vested in me by the state of North Carolina and the Stokes County Board of Education as principal of Stokes Early College, I declare each member of this senior class of 2017 has met state and local requirements, officially defining them as high school graduates. Graduates, you may move your tassels. Thank you to everyone who came out today to celebrate with us and braving this lovely chilly weather. But the rain did hold off. As we prepare for the class of 2017 to recess, everyone is invited to stay with us for a reception at the picnic shelter at the top of the hill. We do have refreshments and drinks. We'd love for you to stay with us. Thank you again for joining us today. Please stand for the class as the class of 2017 recesses.